Hello everyone, this is Irina from Bangladesh. I really want to introduce myself as an advocate of reproductive health, and today I'm going to share a story that is why I started working on sex education and what are the real challenges working on such a sensitive topic. Before I start, I really want to inform you that the journey I'm having right now, the paths from that journey are less traveled by, and that's why challenges are still there. Now, let me tell you why I started working on sex education and advocate for SRHR, that is Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights. First of all, open discussion is missing from almost everywhere, from educational institutions, from family, from most of the health organizations too. We really need to know about our physical and mental changes that start during puberty and continue to the next reproductive phases of our lives. So when I get to teach about sex education, I really try to ensure that my audiences get to know about their private body parts, their function, reproductive organs, hormonal balances and imbalances, characteristics of their puberty, then fertility, infertility, food habit, menstruation, wet dream or nocturnal emission, contraceptive methods, consents, good touch, bad touch, and the related aspects of family planning issues. Now let me give you some real life examples that may help you to understand why do we need to have more scientific knowledge on sex education. So when you are menstruating and you go to a pharmacy to buy your sanitary pads, some people just, start staring at you or laughing at you or making fun of you. Again, a lot of girls are having polycystic ovarian syndrome, that is PCOS nowadays, and as a consequence of that, they get irregular menstruation and a lot of physical consequences actually. So when doctors prescribe them hormonal contraceptive pills, they cannot actually buy those medicines from the pharmacy because these medicines are actually recognized for birth control. But when you get those pills for your PCOS or to treat your irregular menstruation, some people just start laughing at you or making fun of you. So this is really pathetic. And due to the lack of knowledge on sex education, sexually transmitted diseases are rising very, very, very alarmingly worldwide. And a lot of married couples are infertile nowadays, but instead of meeting a doctor, they're just getting divorced. It's only because they do not know how to treat their infertility or how to come up with the solutions for their infertility management. This is really a war on their mental health. On the other hand, there is a lot of married couples who have the sexual disorders, but they do not take any treatment or suggestion from their health professionals. This is also a violence against human rights. Now come to family planning initiatives. I personally believe that family planning is not supposed to be limited to married people only, but unfortunately, all of our government services are basically designed for unmarried people. But you really cannot deny the statistics that there is a large group of people who are unmarried but sexually active. So we really need to ensure that they get the proper reproductive health related services when they need it. Just because we do not have those services designed for unmarried people, the rate of unsafe abortion is getting too high nowadays that put their lives at risk. And young people might not get comfortable to talk about family planning directly. Let's have conversation with them in their terms. Let's reshape the idea, let's reshape the conversation, and let's try to connect them with the information of puberty, because we start to have a lot of physical and mental changes in puberty, and that's where actually uncertainty starts for many. I can tell you 1,000 reasons why I work on sex education and advocate for it, but you might not spare that time for me today. So let's get into another topic, and that is what are the real challenges to work on sex education and to spread knowledge about it. Today I really want to talk about that stereotypical term called sex education. So when I do speak publicly or write any research proposal and mention that it's about sex education, or when I send any content to any person, I get a mixed response actually. Either they really do not know what does it mean, or they get the meaning otherwise. In most of the cases, people think that sex education means intercourse, but that is completely wrong. So let me tell you what is sex education and what are the differences between sex education and sexuality education. So sex education is basically a broad term used to describe gender-based education about human physiology, anatomy, and mental states starting from puberty to the next reproductive phases of our lives. So when you get to teach your kids or anyone else about sex education, please try to talk about their private body parts and reproductive organs, their function, sexually transmitted diseases, different aspects of human sexuality and behavior, hormonal changes, hormonal balances, imbalances, food habit, menstruation, ejaculation, nocturnal emission, infertility and its management, good touch, bad touch, consent, intercourse, family planning initiatives and methods. So these are the very basic of a human reproductive health. If the other name of sex education is termed as knowing thyself, it wouldn't be wrong at all. And one more thing is very important, and that is sex education must be age appropriate, culturally relevant, and of course scientifically proven, so that it can encourage youth to be aware of social taboo, to deal with it, and to be respectful about their own bodies and others' physiology. In our socio-economic context, young people are not fully aware of their sexual and reproductive health and rights. It's only because we do not have proper access to information, guidance, and services that is actually making us more vulnerable towards poor reproductive health and rights. So when the core aspects of reproductive health remain a mystery to young people, it actually curtails lives and dreams. But when you give us sex education and help us to protect our sexual and reproductive health and rights, we become more conscious about our lives and we have the power to shape them. So if we break the taboo by spreading our knowledge on sex education, people will be more willing to talk about the topic. They will be okay with asking questions from their seniors or health professionals, and they might better able to advocate for the services they need. So when we do all of that, when the youth of today grow up, they are more likely to be in school, have families when they are ready, and teach their kids about reproductive health and rights. So try to increase your knowledge on sexual and reproductive health and rights, and please spread that knowledge. Thank you so very much for listening to me.